my name is HAPruitt, and I am the author of Anelthalien and the second book in the Anelthalien series, Earthquaking. And in this video, I'm going to do an author update for the month of May, because we're heading into the month of June. I know. So in the month of May, books I read, I got to actually read 3 grown-up books, which is huge because the month before I did not read any grown-up books. So I read Ignite by Jenna Terese, I read the ones with Gilded Bones by Nathaniel Luscombe, and I read The Lost Descendants by Thornhill. I'll put those down in the description so you can read those. I liked all of those books, and I will do book reviews on them when I have a list of books I keep, and I try to do them in order of when I read them. So I'll put them on my list and do reviews of them when the time comes. And that's what I got to read. My writing is actually going really good, despite having a huge distraction from everything else. He's so cute. Despite having a huge distraction and taking a lot of time to take care of Eldon, I'm getting to write just about as much as I had been before Eldon came around. I just really write on Anelthalien on Sundays, and on that day, my husband is able to take care of Eldon besides the feeding thing. I feed him. And so I'm getting to write about just as much, and that's really, really great. And Anelthalien Book 6 is going so well. I just absolutely love it so much, and I can't wait to share it with you in like probably 20 years how fast I'm going with publishing. And publishing and editing, I am on book 3 of Anelthalien, so I'm editing it right now. That fly is on your face. Now he's on my face. Just get rid of that fly. Go away, fly. Editing book 3 of Anelthalien. I'm not ready to share the title of it yet, but I want to tell you editing is going well. I think it's May 31st today, and I think the last page I worked on was like page 199. Page 199. And I've also been doing tons of author notes as I go along, writing the author notes that go along with it, just the thoughts I have and like the lessons embedded in it and just the cool facts of how I came up with the titles and how I came up with the illustrations, and just really interesting facts of the author notes that I'm going to put in the special edition of book 3. I haven't had a special edition of the books yet, but I'm going to do one for book 3, so you have lots and lots and lots of bonus stuff. I draw tons of pictures as I go along, so you'll have all the extra pictures. Maybe not all, because some are really bad, but you'll have tons of extras in the bonus edition. This fly is just bugging us so much, isn't it? Okay, and because I'm editing and I'm in the thick of it, because I'm editing and I'm in the thick of it, I wanted to share some editing tips I have. And these aren't like hard and fast rules, and so like don't turn off the video if you're like, I don't want to hear how to edit. They're things that make it a little bit easier for you. They're not rules, they're just things that make it so much easier when you have a lot else going on. So some of my editing tips are: read it in various formats. For whatever reason, when you read anything in a different format, you notice different things. And so read it on your computer, then like print it out and read it, then read it on your phone, then you know, any different way you can look at your book, you'll notice different things just because it'll look set up differently. So read it in different formats. That's one easy way that anybody can really do to help you notice different things as you read through. Another editing tip is to read it aloud. When you read it aloud, you actually have to talk you don't have to, but it's good to talk like the characters talk and see if it actually makes sense. Sometimes Kindle goes on these rants, and when I read it in my head, I'm like, this just doesn't sound proper. But when I like read it out loud and she says a whole lot of stuff, and I'm like, that's exactly how she would talk, you know? So read it out loud to make sure the characters sound like the characters, and that just really helps, because I like to, on road trips, my husband and I, we live an hour from our church, and so we have 2 hours, and we can't talk for that whole time. We just don't have enough stuff to talk about. And so I will read to him, and he so enjoys that, and that just helps me catch little things that I didn't notice before. And sometimes he'll be like, Ella wouldn't say that phrase. That's a phrase that's in our world. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. And so I fixed that little thing. And doing that really helps you catch more, and whoever you're reading it to will help you catch other things too. So read it out loud. And then also listen to a program reading it. This is a new one I found. On my phone, I have Word 360, and on Word 360, you have the little voice that will read your manuscript to you. It's super mechanical and not exciting, but they catch everything. And so, an example, when I wrote about the dining room, somebody's dining room, and when I read it, it was the dining room, and I read about the dining room, but when I had this mechanical voice read it, I chose the he voice because it doesn't sound as weird as the female voice. He said dinning room, and I was like, I spelled dining wrong. I put 2 N's in it. I had no idea, you know, and when you write, you know what you want to say. And when you read it, you know what you want to say. And so it's really easy to fill in those words that you actually didn't put down, kind of mentally fill in things that aren't actually there or what you want it to be. But when you have just that really mechanical voice reading it exactly as it is rather than what you think it is, it's going to tell you what you actually put down, and you'll catch so much more. I don't know if I enjoyed having the mechanical voice read my book to me, but I really enjoyed how it helped me catch a lot more. You're okay, little one. You're okay. Let's see. And also, another editing tip is focus on different aspects for each read through you do. If you're reading through your manuscript for the first time after you get done writing it, just read it through for the story, you know, and then you'll catch developmental things and character things, and just read it through to get the big picture. And then the next time you read it through for one specific thing, like, are the characters consistent? Then the next time you read it through to see if all your plot details are consistent. But when you try to focus on a bunch of different things at once, like I said, I do editing for others, and this is what I like to do when I edit for others. Just first read through, just get the big picture of the story, catch all the grammar stuff, but just read it through to get the whole thing. Because a lot of the times in other people's stories, you'll see something and you'll be like, this is kind of weird. Is this really belong? And then later you'll find out, okay, it does. And just the big picture helps you kind of collectively see, does everything fit together? Does it all line up? And once you get through that first reading, then you can focus on smaller, different aspects. That's what I like to do when I edit other people's work. Focus on the big picture and then go back through and focus on the more detailed developmental stuff, because you already have an idea of the big idea. So you won't get caught up in the little things. Does this really matter? Do I really need to change it or not? And also, every time I read through, I look for grammar, but that first read through when you're doing just the big picture kind of thing and not making a whole lot of notes, that's a good time to focus on the grammar too. So also, another tip I have is give yourself plenty of time. Between typing it and reading it, you might want to give yourself a few weeks just so you can look at it with kind of fresh reader eyes, because that's the advantage of editing someone else's work. You can look at it with the eyes of a reader, someone who doesn't know all the details and all the hidden stuff. It's really hard to see that when you're the author and editing your own work. But if you give yourself some time, it'll be easier to see that. And then in between, and it just helps to give yourself time, because I know when I edited my second book, Earthquaking, I did give myself time for most of the read-throughs. But the last read-through, I really wanted to read it through it one last time the day I was going to publish it. And that was hard to squeeze it all in. And thankfully, I had already read through it a bunch of times, and so there wasn't a lot to catch. But I don't think I would have caught very much squeezing all that in. Trying to read through something really, really, really fast, you're trying to just read it really fast, and you're not going to catch everything. So give yourself plenty of time. And my last tip is be consistent. This is more kind of a rule thing. Like I said, I wasn't going to do rules, and now I am. This is more like a rule thing than my other tips. But it's so easy, especially this fly is killing me. It's so easy, especially when you do fantasy, to come up with all these unique names. And like in my second book, there's Binnacle, and I have a little purple root thing called a Medela, and I have Tortuosus labyrinthos. That's how you pronounce it. And this fly, because the Word document doesn't know those words, it's always going to say they're wrong. And a lot of the time I was leaving out like the U in Tortuosus labyrinthos. And I didn't know it because it always said it was wrong, even if I spelled it right. And so all of those fantasy things, and then the capitalization of your names. Sometimes you have places that you capitalize, and sometimes you have foreign words in your fantasy books and you want to italicize those. You don't have to, but I'm saying some people do like to. And it's really hard to keep up with all those, but make yourself a glossary. Even if you're not going to like put it in your book necessarily, make yourself a glossary and be like, this word is italicized, this word is capitalized, this word is not italicized, this word is not capitalized, this word is spelled like this. I had to do that for my third book with the name of a lake or something. I have a little sticky note on my manuscript saying this lake is spelled like this. Don't get it wrong. So do that. Help yourself out and be consistent, because you may not notice because you read through it a million times and your brain is numb. But I have read other people's fantasy books, and you notice so quickly when someone capitalizes it on one page and the next page they don't. And you're like, is this the same thing? Is it different? I don't know. And so try to be really consistent. That's a big tip that we look over a lot, because we just think, I know my thing and I spelled it right and this is it, but it can be really confusing. So be consistent with all your terms and names, whether you're in fantasy or not. I mean, historical fiction could have terms that we don't normally use that you could forget that you're not being consistent with. So be consistent with terms and with everything in your book. So those are all my editing tips, and that is my author update. I hope this video was very helpful to you. If you have any tips to share, please leave them in the comments below. If you just want to tell me about what you did in May or what you plan to do in June, leave them in the comments below. If you just want to talk about anything, how your baby makes it hard to do anything at all, even do your hair, my hair's a mess, please comment below. And thank you. No, I gotta say this: share and like and subscribe and just interact with my channel, because that's what YouTubers are supposed to say. So now I want to say, genuinely, I'm so glad you watched. Thank you for watching. Bye.
If you want to know more about Anelthalien or HAPruitt, please follow me on Instagram at HAPruitt. You can find me on Amazon as an Amazon author, HAPruitt. Please watch my YouTube channel and all my cool videos on my channel, HAPruitt Anelthalien. You can find me on the Facebook page, HAPruitt Anelthalien. You can follow me on Goodreads by the name HAPruitt and the book Anelthalien, or you can go to my website where so much cool stuff about Anelthalien is. The website is HAPruitt.com.